Welcome back to Under Oath. Today we have writer, actor, producer, director, and vodka entrepreneur, Dolph Lundgren. How are
Hi,
you
Jim.
doing?
Good,
Wow.
man. Good.
I tell you, I see you in so much all the time. I'll be watching Arrow and suddenly you'll pop up. I mean, you eat up screen.
Well, thanks. Just trying to squeeze as much out of this life as I can. That's why I always did. So keep going.
What I love is when I analyze a life and I see, what somebody could have done. And I mean, you were a smart guy, masters in chemical engineering, all these grants. I mean, do you ever imagine what would have happened if you said, you know what, I'm gonna go towards science?
I thought about it. I don't know what would have happened. I think, I may have accomplished something, probably try to accomplish something great in the world of science. I just don't know if I would have been as happy because I think I had a lot of childhood trauma and things I was dealing with that, martial arts and the show business got me a chance to express that. And I think it was like doing therapy. I started therapy later in life, but I think that's why I made that choice subconsciously. I knew that it wasn't for me to to stay in engineering.
I mean, that's an interesting thing because you think back, I'm at your age and, therapy was not something you'd go to. You walk it off, you do all these things. When did you decide, hey, listen, I don't want to walk this off anymore?
When you start acting, you start hearing about therapy. I mean, you obviously read, method acting. I was studying in New York a little bit before I get into movies, and you always hear about, Brando and Dean and these guys. They all went to therapy. It was kind of part of what they did back in those days. It was part of kind of finding yourself. But I didn't really do it until I was in my 50s. I started, and it was because I'd gotten divorced. I'd done a bunch of movies. I was kind of a famous movie star, but I wasn't happy most of the time. And I had a failed marriage and two kids that didn't really know me that well. I was starting a new relationship and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to screw this up. I got to find a way around it." And then this acting coach I was working with on something, he introduced me to a therapist, and that's how I got into therapy and then meditation as well. And it really helped me a lot. And I realized I had, if you have a toothache, you go to the dentist. You don't get some pliers, and you can, but it's not a good idea. So it's the same thing. You got some emotional problem, say from your childhood. You go to a specialist. I mean, it's much better than sitting there, you know, trying to figure it out yourself.
I get it. I love when people are able to combine their loves and their careers together. I mean, for example, right now you're doing a show called The Greatest Machines, and that's on the History Channel. And I mean, you must feel a little good about going back to your roots a little bit on that one.
Very, very much so. Yeah. My dad was a big history buff. He was an officer. He was really obsessed by World War II. Um, so when I was a kid, I grew up hearing all of that. And obviously later in life, I realized that they dropped the first atomic bomb 12 years before I was born. That's like if it would have been, 2018 now, right?
Yeah.
2014 now. So it's like just around the corner. So I realized that I was always very interested in history and military history, especially. I just started in college, history of war. I had that as a minor. So when they came to me with this offer, I thought it was perfect, and I really enjoyed being able to kind of engage as an engineer, but also as a history buff.
That's a lot of people don't get, military weapons and everything else, but weapons is normally the leading reason why we come up with innovation and different kind of inventions.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, when somebody's trying to kill you, and or you or your society or you're desperate, and the human mind goes into overdrive, and we're humans have a lot of ingenuity, and people come up with the most crazy ideas, and some of them are wonderful, of course. And they come up with a rocket engine, or they'll come up with, for instance, in the first episode, aerial attackers. It's about airplanes and how they have shaped history as well, through war.
I mean, it's amazing to be able to see every show you do. I'm probably going, this is a cool topic. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, I wasn't, I was excited about it, and then I shot all my stuff. Kind of was shot in a couple of days. All the commentary, and it's very dense because you're talking about 7, 8 machines each episode, and it's like 8 episodes, so it's like probably 80 machines, right? So I didn't really appreciate it until I saw the episodes themselves, because then I saw all the footage and all the graphics and how it was really well explained. And it's really, I got kind of hooked. I was like, "Wow, I want to see more of this stuff." I've only seen the first episode, but I really like it. I think it is fascinating, and I think people today forget where where we came from and how did we get it? How do we have this really fairly cushy lifestyle compared to a lot of other folks that came, hundreds or thousands of years before us?
Now, what I love you're doing this, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention. I mean, you've done so many iconic roles. Whether it be from Rocky, whether it be Universal Soldier, whether it be just so many different Masters of the Universe, He-Man. I mean, if only one of those survived, which one would you want to survive so that people could see?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. I mean, I like He-Man because he's like a full. It's more like a representation of who I was in 1986, because I was kind of buffed and very physical, but also I was boyish and kind of innocent. I would say I had a lot of innocence, and in Rocky Four, all that's cut out. He's just
Yeah,
he's
a
a killing
machine.
machine.
Yeah.
It's a Soviet state has trained this guy, and he's not allowed to show any feelings. So I think both of those characters are good. I mean, I also like Creed 2, which is when I redid that role, revisited that character, and I got to play a stern father. I had a father like that, and I got to play him, but with an outcome that was positive.
Yeah,
So
more human.
yeah, one of those two roles maybe.
And the last question I'm going to ask you is, I want to talk about your new venture. You have your own vodka now.
I know. Yeah, chemical engineering, right?
Yep.
I've always made great drinks, but now I'm actually making vodka. Yes, I have a new vodka called Hard Cut Vodka. It's made in Idaho. It's American made, Idaho potatoes, of course.
Yep.
Only a few, maybe 1% of all vodkas in America made from potatoes, mostly grain or corn. But potatoes are a little more expensive, a little more complicated, but it has that creaminess. It doesn't have that bad feeling in the back of your throat, the harsh feeling.
Yep.
And a lot of the other vodkas are not from America; they're from Europe. A lot of them, like Kettle One and Belvedere and Grey Goose, and some of the others. But Hard Cuts, American made. I've had the company now for a number of years. We've been on the market only for a year in Southern California and Southern Florida. So it's available there at Total Wine, I believe, and Bevmo in California.
I mean, it must be pretty cool. This is your product. This is your baby. I mean, last question I'm going to ask concerns people out there who want to get into the industry and everything else like that. I always ask this for the theater students and everything. What do you think the most important thing you use to stay motivated?
Well, I think the most important thing is to be excited about your life, about this life you've been given, and about the opportunities you have every day. That every day is so special that every day is like a gift, and you have to make the most of it. I mean, that's why we're put on this earth, and I think that's you have to remember that every night. I do it every night before I go to sleep, and every morning when I wake up, I try to force myself to remind myself about what I'm grateful for.
Well, I got to tell you, Dolph, I love this interview. I loved everything we talked about, and good luck with everything. And that Masters of the Universe video you did with the actor who's playing it was the best. So thank you much for doing that.
Thanks, my friend. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.